There are
Kneel
exactly
before your
three things
queen.
you need to know
Obey
about
me
Queen
or
Kira
face my
Thornwood
wrath.
before
We
this
obey
story
you.
makes any sense.
Kneel before your queen.
First, she's
Obey
green.
me.
Not metaphorically, actually green. The kind of green that makes humans reach for weapons before their brains catch up with their eyes. 6 feet tall tusks that curve just slightly over her lower lip, skin the color of summer moss after rain. Second, she rules a human territory, not an orc settlement, not some wild borderland where her kind supposedly belong. New Haven territory, western frontier of what used to be divided lands, now unified under laws written by human hands and enforced by a queen with orc blood. Third, and this is the part that will break two men's hearts and change a kingdom forever, she needs a husband. Not because she's weak. A woman who killed a tiger with a rock at age 4 doesn't know the meaning of weak. But because a crown is heavy and even queens with tusks in warrior blood need someone to share the weight. The announcement comes on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are supposed to be boring. Market day, tax collection. The kind of day where the most exciting thing that happens is Morel dropping a tray of silverware in the Great Hall. But Queen Kira Thornwood, age 28, nearly 6 feet of orc muscle wrapped in ceremonial leather and silk, walks into the council chamber wearing the necklace that defines her entire existence. 2 tiger fangs, bound together with leather that's worn soft from 24 years of touch. Secured by chains forged by the only hands she's ever truly trusted. She touches those fangs once, twice. A habit when she's about to do something that will cost more than she wants to pay. Then she speaks 5 words that will end one man's life. I will marry the winner. The council chamber goes silent. Not the good kind of silent. The kind where people stop breathing because their minds are trying to catch up with what their ears just heard. Counselor Elara Frost, age 45. Veteran of 4 governors and 3 attempted coups, snaps her fan shut. The sound cracks like a bone breaking. Your Majesty, this is madness. She doesn't say it to Kira specifically, just to the universe. To whatever cosmic force decided that today, a Tuesday, would be the day everything changed. Kira's voice has the quality of boulders rolling downhill. You don't stop it. You just get out of the way or get crushed. This is necessity. I need a consort. The council demands it. The territory demands it. I will not choose based on politics or bloodlines or which family offers the best trade agreements. She pauses, lets the weight settle. I will choose based on strength. The chamber holds perhaps 30 people. Nobles, advisors, guard captains, merchants with enough coin to buy council seats. All of them human except for Kira. All of them staring at the green-skinned woman on the throne like she's just announced plans to set the building on fire. Then 2 men move. Not step. Move. Like tectonic plates deciding to have opinions about geography. Captain Garrison Vale, 32 years old, scar running diagonal across his left cheek from a battle he won 3 years ago. 3 years of absolute service. 74 victories in her name. Love that burns quiet and steady. The kind soldiers carry when they know they'll probably die for someone eventually, and they're okay with that. He steps forward. Military precision. Boots hitting stone in perfect rhythm. Your Majesty, just 2 words, but the way he says them contains volumes. 3 years of loyalty that never wavered. 74 battles where he took arrows meant for her formation. And love. The kind he's never spoken aloud because speaking it would be inappropriate, would cross lines that soldiers don't cross with their queens. Then Callum Forge moves. Not steps. Moves like mountains deciding to walk. 29 years old, 5'11" of blacksmith muscle. Hands that are more callous than skin. Ash permanently ground into the creases of his palms, dark stains on dark skin that no amount of washing ever removes. He's been standing near the great fireplace, his natural habitat, where flames and metal make more sense than words ever will. But now he's walking toward the throne, toward the green-skinned girl he's known since they were children, toward the monster nobody else bothered to understand. Your Majesty, if Garrison's voice contained volumes, Callum's contains entire libraries. 21 years of friendship, every secret, every laugh, every moment of growing up in a fortress where she was too orc for the humans and too human raised for any clan that might have taken her in. He forged her first sword when she was 12, repaired her crown 7 times, Made the chains for that tiger fang necklace she touches when she's afraid. The necklace she's touching right now. Morel Quinn, 22 years old, handmaiden and companion since childhood, makes a sound like a mouse being stepped on. Your Majesty, there must be another. There isn't. Kira cuts her off. Not cruel, just final. You will fight. One of you will win. One of you will not. The survivor becomes my husband and king consort of New Haven. She says it like she's reading a grain report, like she's not sentencing one of these men to death and the other to a lifetime of knowing he killed to earn a wedding ring. Morel's face goes pale, the kind of pale that suggests she's replaying every conversation, every moment, trying to find where this all went wrong. But there's nothing to find, because Kira made this decision alone, in the dark, where queens make choices that cost more than they can afford to pay. Here's what you need to understand about how an orc became queen of a human territory. It starts with a dead tiger, continues with a dying governor, ends with a coronation that half the nobility boycotted. Kira was 4 years old when Governor Edmund Thorne found her in Thornwood Forest. 4 years old and standing over a tiger she'd killed with a rock and survival instinct that would have impressed a berserker warrior. Thorne had been hunting that same tiger for weeks. It had killed 6 people, mauled 2 more. And this tiny green child, abandoned by whichever orc clan had lost her or left her behind, had crushed its skull with a stone the size of her head. Edmund Thorne did something governors usually don't do, he thought. This child is dangerous, clearly, but she's also 4 and alone, and she just saved his territory from a man-eater using nothing but rage and a rock. So he took her home, gave her a name. Kira, which meant dark-haired in the old tongue, which was ironic because her hair was black as midnight and had nothing to do with why he named her. He gave her the tiger's fangs on a leather cord. Strength without purpose is just violence, he told her. Remember that. She remembered, for 24 years, through Edmund's slow death from wasting sickness, through her unexpected inheritance of a seat that should never have touched green skin, through every moment of hatred and fear and suspicion from humans who couldn't understand why their dying governor's last words were, "The orc is my daughter. She will rule. Defy her and you defy me." Callum remembered too, because he'd been there. 7-year-old son of the territorial blacksmith, when this strange green girl showed up and everyone was too scared to play with her. Everyone except him. He'd walked up to her in the fortress courtyard, held out a half-eaten apple. "You're really strong, right? Can you break this with one hand?" She'd stared at him, then laughed, a sound like rocks tumbling down a hill. Then she'd crushed the apple, juice running between green fingers. They'd been inseparable ever since. Best friends through childhood. Through adolescence, when he started noticing that her laugh made his chest feel strange. Through his apprenticeship in the forge, where he poured feelings into metal because words were too dangerous. Through her coronation, where he stood in the back and watched humans spit at her feet. She caught his eye, shaking her head. "Not worth it," that look said. "Save your rage for something that matters." And Garrison. Captain Garrison Vale hadn't met her until she was already queen. He'd been a soldier in a border company, 30 years old and already tired of war in the way good soldiers get tired. Not cowardly, just realistic about what steel does to flesh. He'd been reassigned to the capital. Expected a weak ruler. A political appointment. Someone's cousin with a fancy title and no spine. What he found was an orc queen personally leading troops against bandits raiding frontier villages. Bleeding from wounds. Green blood that looked black in torchlight. Taking arrows meant for her soldiers and still barking orders. When the battle ended, instead of executing captured bandits like any human governor would have, she'd ask them why. Why raid? Why steal? Why kill? Turned out they were starving. Border lords had raised taxes. Options were steal or watch your children die. Kira had executed the border lords instead, redistributed their lands, fed the bandits' families, kept the former bandits as soldiers in her personal guard. Garrison had watched all of this and thought, this is a queen worth dying for. 3 years later, he still thinks that. And now he's going to fight his way toward proving it. The arena is built in 3 days, not a grand coliseum. Just a circle in the fortress courtyard marked with white stones. Wooden stands thrown up around the perimeter, capable of holding maybe 300 people. Every seat fills, Nobles in silk, soldiers in mail, common folk who snuck in to watch noble entertainment. All of them waiting for blood. Because that's what this is. Entertainment. Spectacle. Two men fighting to death for a green-skinned queen's hand. Kira sits alone in her chambers the night before the duel, touches the tiger fang necklace with fingers that shake. She killed that tiger when she was 4. Killed it because it was trying to kill her. And even at 4, she'd understood that life was binary. Fight or die, nothing in between. 24 years later, she still lives by that logic. It's kept her alive, kept her crown, kept her territory from tearing itself apart between humans who hate her and orcs who would never accept a half-blood raised by humans. But it's also led to this. 2 men she values preparing to murder each other in her name. I could call it off. She says it to the empty room. Her voice sounds small. Wrong. Queens aren't supposed to sound small. I could just choose. Pick one. Save the other. But she can't. The council is watching. The territory is watching. Every noble who's ever questioned her strength, every citizen who's ever whispered monster when she passed, they're all watching. If she backs down now, shows weakness, shows sentiment, she loses everything. The crown, the territory, the fragile peace she's built between species that spent centuries killing each other. So 2 men will fight, and one will die. And she will marry the survivor and spend the rest of her life wondering if he sees her face or just a crown when he looks at her. Kira picks up a quill, dips it in ink, writes 2 letters. The first is addressed to Garrison. Captain Vale, for 3 years you have served with honor beyond measure. 74 victories, countless lives saved, loyalty that never wavered even when others questioned my right to rule. I should tell you this in person, but I'm a coward. I love you, not the way poets describe it, but the way soldiers understand it. You make me feel safe, like I could lay down the crown for one moment and just breathe. But I also love Callum. He's known me since before I was queen, before I was anything except a scared green child nobody wanted. I can't choose between you, so I'm making you choose with steel. Forgive me for being too weak to sentence one of you to heartbreak with words instead of violence. If you die tomorrow, know that it wasn't because you weren't enough. It was because I wasn't brave enough to choose, Kira. She folds it, sets it aside, writes the second letter. Callum, 21 years. You've been my friend for 21 years, longer than I've been queen, longer than I've been anything that mattered. I should have told you years ago. I love you. The way children love before they learn to be afraid. The way adults love when they finally stop being afraid. But I also love Garrison. He's given 3 years of his life to keeping me safe, to believing in what I'm building here. I can't choose. If I choose you, Garrison loses everything he fought for. If I choose Garrison, I lose you. And I've never been good at losing things I love. So I'm forcing you to decide, with hammers and steel. Because I'm too much of a coward to just say your name and break someone's heart. If you die tomorrow, I'll never forgive myself. But I'll also never forget that you love me enough to fight. Kira. She folds it, places it next to Garrison's letter, stares at them both. 2 confessions, 2 apologies, 2 truths she'll never have the courage to speak aloud. Then she picks them up, walks to the fireplace, and burns them. Watches ink and parchment curl into ash. Watches her honesty turn to smoke. Because queens don't get to confess weakness. Queens don't get to admit they're scared. Queens make hard choices and live with the consequences and never ever let anyone see them cry. The flames consume her cowardice. And in the morning, 2 men will fight. And she'll watch and she'll say nothing. Because that's what cowards do. Garrison Vale spends the night before the duel in the training yard. Not training, just standing, holding his sword, thinking about what it means to die for someone. Lieutenant Thaddeus Pike finds him there. 38 years old, built like a barrel, with a nervous laugh that kicks in before every battle. He's laughing now. So, you're really doing this? I'm really doing this. Garrison tests his sword's edge against his thumb, draws blood. Good. Sharp enough to kill quickly. Sharp enough to make it clean. Pike's laugh dies in his throat. Captain, he's not some bandit, not some enemy soldier. He's the Queen's best friend. He's in my way. Well, Garrison says it flat, final. The way you state facts that won't change no matter how much you wish they would. Tomorrow we're just two men fighting for the same woman. One of us survives, one of us doesn't. That's how it works. Pike opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. You know you might die, right? Callum's strong. He's been swinging hammers since he was 12, I know. And you're okay with a hat. Garrison looks at his lieutenant, his friend, the man who's pulled him out of 3 different battles where he should have died. Pike, I've been a soldier for 15 years. Seen men die for land they never saw. Kings they never met. Causes they didn't understand. He sheathes his sword. If I die tomorrow, at least it's for something real. Someone real. That's more than most soldiers get. Pike stares at him, then shakes his head, walks away laughing that nervous laugh that sounds more like sobbing. Garrison stands alone in the training yard, thinks about green skin and tusks in a voice like boulders rolling downhill. Thinks I'm grateful for the chance. Across the fortress in the forge that's been Callum's home for more than 20 years, hammers ring against anvil with a rhythm that sounds like grief. Callum is making something. Not armor, not a weapon, a small iron rose. Delicate despite the brutal hands shaping it. The kind of thing you make when you need to remember that strength can create, not just destroy. Morel finds him there. She's carrying wine, which is her solution to most problems. She doesn't want this. No preamble, no politeness. That's what happens when you've known someone since you were both children crying about scraped knees. Then she shouldn't have announced a death match. The hammer comes down harder than necessary. Sparks fly like angry fireflies. She needs a husband. The council was going to choose for her. Some prince from some allied territory. Some alliance marriage. Some man who'd look at her green skin every day and wish she was human. Morel sets the wine down near the forge, far enough that it won't boil from the heat. At least this way she knows whoever wins actually wants her. Wants her enough to kill for her. Callum holds up the iron rose, perfect metal petals catching firelight. That's a hell of a foundation for a marriage. You love her. Not a question. Statement of fact. Since I was 7 years old. The admission tastes like ash. Every day for 21 years. Never said it, never could. She was my best friend. Saying it would have ruined everything. He sets down the hammer, picks up the wine, drinks straight from the bottle. And now I have to kill a good man to have even a chance of telling her. Then don't. Morel says it's simple, like suggesting he not breathe. If I don't fight, Garrison wins. She marries him. And I spend the rest of my life forging weapons for her armies and watching her be happy with someone else. Callum sits, stares at the iron rose. I can't do that. I'm not that strong. Morel doesn't argue, because she knows. She's seen him watch Kira for 21 years. Seen the way he looks at her when she's not looking. The way he pours everything he can't say into metal, and fire and things that won't break his heart. She leaves him there with the mind and the weapon and the knowledge that tomorrow, one way or another, everything changes. Kira doesn't sleep the night before the duel. Instead, she sits in her chambers and watches the moon cross the sky. Thinks about Edmund Thorne, the human governor who found a 4-year-old orc child standing over a dead tiger and decided she was worth saving. He'd carried her back to the fortress, cleaned her cuts, fed her, gave her a bed that was softer than anything she'd ever felt in whatever orc camp had abandoned her. And when his advisors said, "Sir, you can't keep an orc child in the fortress," he'd said, "Watch me." He'd raised her, taught her to read and write and think, taught her that strength without purpose was just violence, taught her that ruling meant making choices nobody else wanted to make and living with consequences nobody else could bear. His last words to her lying in bed, body eaten away by sickness. You're strong enough to rule them, Kira, but strength alone won't be enough. You'll have to be smarter, kinder, better. They'll hate you for your skin. Love them anyway. They'll question your right. Prove it anyway. And when you have to make impossible choices, he'd touched her tiger fang necklace. Remember why you fight? Not for the crown, for the people the crown protects. She'd asked, what if the choice costs too much? And he'd smiled, sad, knowing. Then you pay it anyway. That's what rulers do. Now, 24 years later, sitting alone in her chambers, Kyra understands what he meant. The choice costs too much. One man's life, another man's soul, her own peace of mind. But she'll pay it anyway, because that's what queens do. Dawn breaks cold and clear. The arena stands ready, white stones marking the circle. 300 seats filled, nobles in their finest clothes, common folk in whatever they could find, all of them waiting. Kira walks from her chambers to the throne they have set up at the arena's edge. Temporary, wooden, not nearly as grand as the one in the Great Hall, but functional. She wears the tiger fang necklace. Nothing else ceremonial, just leather and chainmail. The clothes of a warrior queen who understands what's about to happen. Morel walks beside her, silent. Her face shows nothing. But Kira knows. Knows Morel has been crying. Knows she'll probably cry more before this day ends. They reach the throne. Kira sits. The crowd goes quiet. Then Callum enters from the west. He wears no armor, just leather pants and his blacksmith's apron. Torso bare, showing muscles built from years of wrestling metal into submission. In his right hand a warhammer. Heavy, brutal, the kind of weapon that doesn't slash, it shatters. He walks to the center of the arena, plants his feet, waits. Then Garrison enters from the east, full captain's armor, plate and mail, a long sword in one hand, shield in the other. Military precision in every step. He looks like exactly what he is, a man who's won 74 battles and is about to win one more. They meet in the center, look at each other, for just a moment, just one moment. They're two men who might have been friends in another life. Men who respect each other. Then Garrison raises his sword in salute. Callum raises his hammer. And Kira, sitting on her temporary throne wearing her tiger fang necklace and a crown that feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds, speaks. One word. Begin. The first blow comes from Garrison. Fast, professional. A testing strike to gauge Callum's reaction speed. Callum blocks with the hammer shaft. Metal rings against metal. The sound echoes off fortress walls. The crowd exhales. They'd been holding their breath, waiting to see if this was real. If these two men would actually try to kill each other. They will. The fight is ugly. Not choreographed, not cinematic. Real combat never is. It's sweat and grunting and the wet sound of metal hitting flesh. It's exhaustion setting in after 3 minutes. It's mistakes and recovery and the constant calculation of how much you can hurt someone before they hurt you worse. Garrison has training, technique, years of battlefield experience. He knows how to fight multiple opponents, how to conserve energy, how to find openings. But Callum has rage, the kind of rage that accumulates over 21 years of loving someone and never saying it. The kind that turns a man into something that doesn't feel pain, doesn't feel exhaustion, just feels the need to win. Garabiti's sword finds Callum's shoulder, cuts deep. Blood-red human blood runs down dark skin. Callum's hammer finds Garrison's knee. The joint bends wrong. Something cracks. Garrison stumbles. Doesn't fall. Soldiers don't fall. They die standing. Kira watches. Her face shows nothing. Queens don't show fear. Don't show grief. Don't show the desperate, clawing need to scream, "Stop. Both of you. I'll choose. I'll marry neither. Just stop hurting each other." But she doesn't scream, doesn't move, just watches. Because she made this choice and now she gets to live with it. Inside her head, a voice whispers, her own voice. Honest, terrible. I could stop this right now. I could stand up, call it off, just pick one of them, save them both from this. But she doesn't move. Because I'm a coward. I'd rather watch him die than admit I can't choose. The thought sits in her chest like a stone. Heavy, undeniable. This is my fault, not theirs. Mine. 15 minutes into the fight, both men are bleeding. Garrison's armor is dented. His knee barely holds weight, but he's still moving, still fighting. Because that's what soldiers do. Callum's ribs are probably broken. His shoulder is shredded, but he's still swinging, still advancing. Because that's what love does. It makes you stupid. Makes you willing to DM if dying means winning. The crowd has gone quiet. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is tragedy, the kind you can't look away from even though you want to. It ends with a mistake. Small, stupid. The kind of mistake that happens when you're exhausted and bleeding and your body starts making decisions faster than your brain can stop them. Garrison steps left. His wounded knee betrays him. Buckles. Just for a second. Just long enough. Callum's hammer comes down. The sound is distinctive, like a walnut in a vise. Wet, final, wrong in every possible way. Captain Garrison Vale, age 32, veteran of 74 battles, collapses. He's dead before he hits the ground. His last expression isn't pain. It's surprise, like he can't quite believe that all those battles, all that survival ended here, in a courtyard, with a blacksmith's hammer. Callum stands over him, still holding the hammer, blood-red blood that isn't his dripping from the weapon. He looks at his hands, at the hammer, at the dead man, that sound. He'll hear it forever. Then he looks at Queen Kira, who is sitting on her throne with her hand over her mouth. Tears, actual tears, running down green cheeks. I won. Callum's voice sounds hollow, like an echo in an empty room. I won. The crowd is silent. Victory shouldn't look like this, feel like this, taste like ash and regret. Thaddeus Pike pushes through the crowd, drops to his knees beside his captain's body, starts laughing. That nervous laugh he always has before battles. Except this time it doesn't stop. It turns into sounds, ugly, raw, the kind of sounds that make people look away. Counselor Alara Frost stands, snaps her fans shut, walks away. She's seen enough death in 45 years. Doesn't need to see more. Morel runs to Kira, puts her arms around the queen. Doesn't care if it's improper. Doesn't care if it shows weakness. Her queen needs comfort more than dignity. And Callum. Callum drops the hammer, walks out of the arena, doesn't stop until he reaches the forge, locks the door, starts hammering, making something, anything. Because if he stops moving, he'll have to think about what he just did, who he just killed. And thinking about that might break something that can't be fixed with hammer and fire. Kira sits on her throne, watches them carry Garrison's body away, watches the crowd disperse, watches Callum disappear into his forge. And finally, when everyone is gone, she stands, walks to the center of the arena, to the spot where Garrison fell. There's blood on the white stones, red against white, stark, undeniable. She removes her tiger fang necklace, the one Edmund gave her 24 years ago, the one that means strength, purpose, everything she's supposed to be. She kneels, places it on the blood-stained stones. For a warrior, she whispers, for sacrifice. Then she stands, walks back to the fortress. Her face shows nothing. But inside, where no one can see, something breaks. The kind of break that won't heal clean, won't heal straight, will leave scars that ache when the weather changes. 3 weeks, she thinks. 3 weeks until the wedding. 3 weeks to figure out how to marry a man who killed for you. 3 weeks to learn how to live with being the kind of queen who lets good men die for her cowardice. 3 weeks, it's not enough time. But then again, no amount of time would be enough, because some choices don't have good answers. They just have consequences. And now she gets to live with them. The wedding happens 3 weeks later, not a celebration, an obligation. The kind of ceremony where everyone involved wishes they were somewhere else, but duty demands attendance. Queen Kira Thornwood wears white, lace over green skin. The contrast is striking in all the wrong ways, like putting silk on a sword. Beautiful and violent and deeply wrong. Callum Forge wears black, formal, appropriate for a wedding, and or a funeral. At this point, hard to tell the difference. The ceremony is performed by the territory's high priest, an old man who's buried 3 generations of rulers and long since stopped being surprised by anything. He's seen arranged marriages, political marriages, marriages of convenience. This is something else entirely. This is penance wearing a wedding dress. He speaks the traditional words, asks the traditional questions. Do you, Queen Kira Thornwood, take this man as your husband and king consort? Kira's voice is steady, empty, like she's reading from a script written by someone else. I do. Do you, Callum Forge, take this woman as your wife and queen? Callum's hands are shaking. The crowd can see it. He's still got bruises from the fight, cuts that haven't fully healed. But the worst wounds don't show. I do. The priest pauses, looks at them both. Something like pity crosses his face. You may kiss your bride. Callum lifts Kira's veil. She whispers something, so quiet the crowd can't hear. Only Callum catches it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted. I know. He kisses her. It should be romantic. First kiss as husband and wife. Beginning of their life together. Instead, it tastes like grief. Like all the words they've never said and all the blood that's been spilled and all the futures that died in an arena 3 weeks ago. The reception is subdued. Nobles eat quietly. Soldiers drink quickly. Everyone avoids looking at the empty chair where Captain Garrison Vale should have been sitting, where Lieutenant Thaddeus Pike should have been making his nervous jokes and toasting the happy couple. But Pike isn't here. He resigned his commission the day after the duel, left New Haven territory before dawn, didn't tell anyone where he was going, didn't leave a forwarding address, just gone. Like Garrison. Like everything good that used to exist before a queen decided to force men to fight for her hand. Morel moves through the reception like a ghost, serving wine, clearing plates. Her eyes are red. She's been crying for 3 weeks straight. Doesn't seem capable of stopping. Counselor Ilara Frost sits at the high table. Doesn't eat, doesn't drink. Just watches Kira with eyes that have seen too many rulers make too many mistakes. She doesn't say anything. Doesn't need to. Her presence speaks volumes. This is what happens when you choose crown over conscience. When you let good men die for politics. This is what you get. The wedding night, Kira and Callum stand in the royal chambers. The door closes behind them. Sudden silence. Heavy, suffocating. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then Callum says, we should talk. About what? Kira's voice is flat, defensive, like she's already preparing for a fight. About everything. He sits on the edge of the bed, doesn't touch her, doesn't move closer, just sits, exhausted. Like he's been carrying weight for 3 weeks and his legs finally gave out. About how I killed a good man to be here. About how every time you look at me, you'll see his blood on my hands. About how this marriage started with death and will probably be haunted by it forever. Kira sits beside him, not close, a careful distance, like she's afraid if they touch something, will break that can't be fixed. I loved him too. It comes out quiet. Confession, admission of guilt. Not the way She stops or corrects herself. Not romantic, but he was loyal. He was good. And he died because I was too scared to choose. I loved you for 21 years. Callum says it's simple. Statement of fact. Never said it because I was too scared to risk our friendship. And when I finally fought for you, it cost a man's life. He looks at his hands, the hands that swung the hammer. That's not a love story, that's a tragedy. Then we live with it. Kira takes his hand, the hand that killed Garrison, holds it carefully, like it's something fragile instead of something that shattered a skull 3 weeks ago. We honor his memory. We try to build something good enough that his death means something. Callum looks at her, really looks, at green skin and tusks and eyes that are trying very hard not to cry. Do you love me? The question hangs in the air, heavy, dangerous. Kira opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. I don't. Callum pulls his hand away, stands, walks to the window. Don't lie. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Just don't. Kira stands too, faces him across the room, across the distance that suddenly feels like miles instead of feet. I was going to say I don't know. She touches her neck, where the tiger fang necklace used to hang, the necklace she left on blood-stained stones in the arena. I loved you as a friend. I think I loved you as more. But I also loved Garrison. And now he's dead and you're alive. And I don't know if what I feel is love or guilt or just relief that I don't have to choose anymore. At least that's honest. Callum's voice is bitter, hurt, but also understanding, because honesty is all they have left. I can't be your wife, not yet, not in my heart. Kira says it firm, final, the way queens make declarations that won't be argued with. I can't let myself feel love when I'm responsible for Garrison's death. We'll rule together. We'll honor his memory, but I can't. She stops, tries again. I can't be your wife in any way that matters until I forgive myself, and I don't know if I ever will. The silence stretches. Then Callum nods. Once. Sharp. Like he's accepting a command from his queen instead of a rejection from his wife. Then we'll wait. I'm sorry. I know. He walks to the door, stops with his hand on the handle. For what it's worth, Kira, I do love you. I'll love you when you're ready, and I'll love you if you're never ready. That's what 21 years means. He leaves. The door closes. Kira stands alone in the royal chambers on her wedding night. And finally, when no one can see, when no one can hear, she cries. The kind of crying that comes from deep inside. From the place where she's still a 4-year-old child standing over a dead tiger with a rock in her hand and blood on her skin. The place where she's still scared, still alone, still wondering if anyone will ever love her for who she is instead of what she represents. The first year of marriage is a masterclass in coexistence without intimacy. Kira throws herself into ruling. 18-hour days, rewriting territorial laws, building orc-human integration programs, establishing trade routes with neighboring territories that have never trusted a green-skinned ruler. She's brilliant at it. Turns out that being raised by a human governor and born with orc blood gives you a unique perspective on diplomacy. She understands both sides, can speak to both fears. Within 6 months, she's negotiated 3 major trade agreements. Within a year, she's reduced territorial conflicts by 40%. The people love her. Not all of them, but enough. Enough that the whispers of monster start getting drowned out by whispers of effective. Callum lives in the forge. Technically, he has rooms in the royal quarters. Technically, he's king consort. Attends council meetings, signs documents, stands beside Kira at official functions. But every night he goes back to the forge, back to fire and metal and things that make sense. He makes weapons, hundreds of them, swords and axes and spear points, each one perfectly crafted, each one stamped with his maker's mark. A small anvil with a rose growing from it, strength and beauty, destruction and creation. Everything he's learned about being human. Sometimes he stops mid-swing, hammer frozen in air, remembering the impact, the way Garrison's knee buckled, the finality. He doesn't talk about it, doesn't see a priest or a counselor or anyone who might help process trauma. He just forges and forges and forges. They see each other at meals, at council meetings, at public events where they're required to present a united front. They're polite, professional, 2 people running a territory together with ruthless efficiency. But they're not married, not in any way that matters. Morel watches them, worries, brings Kira tea and small comforts and occasionally the courage to speak truth. You're punishing yourself. She says it 6 months into the marriage. Late at night, when Kira is alone in her chambers reading territorial law by candlelight. I'm doing my job. You're working yourself to death, and you're punishing Callum in the process. He didn't ask for this. He fought for you because he loves you. He killed for me. Kira doesn't look up from the law book. There's a difference, or Morel sits down uninvited, something she only does when she's really worried. He's hurting too. You both are. And you're both dealing with it by pretending the other doesn't exist outside of official functions. I'm doing what queens do, surviving. You're existing. That's not the same as surviving. Kira finally looks up. Her eyes are tired, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. What do you want me to do? Morel fall into his arms. Pretend. Garrison didn't die. Pretend. I didn't force 2 men to fight to the death because I was too weak to choose. I want you to forgive yourself. I can't. Then you'll never be able to love him. And he deserves that. He deserves to be loved after what he's been through. Kira goes back to her law book. He'll have to wait. 1 year after the wedding, Kira realizes she's pregnant. The discovery comes with morning sickness. Violent, exhausting, the kind that makes ruling a territory significantly more difficult when you're running to empty your stomach every 2 hours. The territorial physician confirms it. 8 weeks along, healthy, no complications so far. Kira sits in the physician's office and tries to process what this means. A child, her child, half orc, half human, a living symbol of what she's been trying to build. Integration, coexistence, peace, or a living reminder of how it was conceived. A marriage born from violence, a union that started with blood. She tells Callum that night. They're alone in the council chamber, reviewing next quarter's tax assessments, the most boring possible setting for life-changing news. I'm pregnant. Callum drops the parchment he's holding. You're 8 weeks. The physician confirmed it today. He stares at her, then at her stomach, then back at her face. Are you happy? Kira asks it genuine. So I am. Curious. She genuinely doesn't know. Callum sits down. Hard. Like his legs stopped working. I don't know. Are you? I don't know either. They sit in silence. Two people who created a life together and don't know how to feel about it. Finally, Callum says, Garrison would have made a good father. It's the first time either of them has said his name aloud since the wedding. Kira flinches, like the name is a physical blow. Yes, he would have. More silence. Then, will you be a good father? Callum looks at her. Really looks. At the green skin and the tusks and the eyes that are asking a real question. I'll try. That's all I can promise. That's all anyone can promise. Kira stands, smooths her dress, queen again, not a pregnant woman, not a wife, just a ruler with a territorial crisis to manage. The nobles will have opinions about the child's legitimacy, about whether an orc human child can rule. Let them have opinions. Callum stands too. King consort, not a father-to-be, not a husband, just a political figure with a role to play. We'll deal with them. Together. Together. It's not intimacy, not love, but it's partnership. And right now, that's the best they can do. The pregnancy changes everything and nothing. Kira still works 18-hour days until the physician threatens to sedate her. Still attends every council meeting. Still refuses to show weakness. But something shifts. Subtle. Almost invisible. She lets Callum walk her to her chambers at night. Doesn't send him away immediately. Sometimes they talk. Small things. Territorial business mostly. But occasionally something personal slips through. How she's feeling. Whether the baby kicked. What names they might consider. It's not romance, but it's communication. And after a year of careful distance, communication feels revolutionary. 7 months into pregnancy, Kira goes into labor. It's hard. Brutal. 16 hours of pain that makes fighting a tiger seem easy by comparison. Callum paces outside the birthing room, wears a path in the stone floor. Morel brings him water he doesn't drink, food he doesn't eat. Finally, after 16 hours, a cry, thin, reedy, the sound of new life demanding attention. The midwife opens the door. Your Majesty, you have a daughter. Callum doesn't wait for permission. Pushes past her into the room. Kira is lying in bed, exhausted, covered in sweat, hair plastered to her face. She's holding something small, wrapped in cloth. A baby. Their daughter. He approaches slowly, like he's afraid sudden movement will break the moment. Kira looks up, tired but smiling. Actual smile. First one he's seen in over a year. Come meet her. He sits on the edge of the bed, looks down at the bundle in Kira's arms. Brown skin, small, perfect. Tiny fingers curled into fists. Human. Completely, entirely, unmistakably human. No green skin, no tusks, no physical evidence that she's half-orc at all. She's human, yes. Kira's smile fades slightly. The kingdom will celebrate. They'll accept her because she looks like them. Not like me. Callum touches his daughter's hand. Tiny fingers wrap around his finger. Instinct. Trust. What are you going to name her? Arya. Kira says it's soft, testing how it sounds. It means air, breath, life. She's our fresh start, our chance to breathe again. Arya, Callum repeats it, likes how it sounds. It's beautiful. Arya Valen Forge. Valen P, after Vale, Garrison. So he's remembered. So she knows that good men died so she could exist. Callum looks at Kira, at his wife, at the mother of his child. She's crying. Quiet tears running down green cheeks. What's wrong? They're going to celebrate her because she's not like me. They're going to accept our daughter because she's human. And that means they still see me as a monster. After everything I've done, after 6 years of ruling them, I'm still just a monster who got lucky. Callum shifts closer, takes her hand. First time he's initiated physical contact since their wedding night. You're not a monster. You're the mother of my daughter. You're a queen who's kept this territory safe for 6 years. You're a woman who's been carrying guilt that would have crushed anyone else. He squeezes her hand. And maybe Arya being human is a gift. Maybe it means she won't have to fight the same battles you did. Won't have to prove her humanity every day just to be accepted. Kira leans against him, exhausted, emotional, vulnerable in a way she hasn't allowed herself to be in years. I'm scared. Of what? That I'll fail her. That I'll make the same mistakes with her that I made with everything else. That she'll grow up and realize her mother is a coward who let good men die. You won't fail her. Callum puts his arm around her, holds her. First real embrace since the duel. You're the strongest person I know. And yes, you've made mistakes. We both have, but you don't let mistakes break you. You learn from them. Baby Arya makes a small sound, not quite a cry, just a noise that says she exists and demands attention. They both look down at her, and for the first time in a year, Kira lets herself hope. Maybe they can do this. Maybe they can build something good from tragedy. Maybe Garrison's death doesn't have to be meaningless. Maybe. 2 years pass, slow, heavy, but they pass. Arya grows, learns to walk, learns to talk, becomes a bright, curious child who asks endless questions and has her mother's determination. Kira and Callum grow too. Not quickly, not dramatically, but gradually they stop being two strangers sharing a title and start being parents, partners, almost friends again. They don't talk about Garrison, don't talk about the duel. That wound is still too fresh, still too dangerous. But they talk about other things, territorial business, Arya's development, books they've read, small things that accumulate into something larger. Intimacy rebuilt from fragments. When Arya is 2 years old, Kira discovers she's pregnant again. This time the reaction is different. Callum smiles, actually smiles, pulls her into an embrace that feels genuine instead of obligatory. Another child. Are you happy? Same question she asked 3 years ago. Different answer this time. Yes, I'm happy. The second pregnancy is easier. Kira knows what to expect. Doesn't push herself quite as hard. Actually rests when the physician tells her to. 7 months in, she goes into labor again. Shorter this time. Only 8 hours. Still brutal, but more manageable. And when the midwife finally hands her the baby wrapped in cloth, Kira looks down and sees green skin. Orc skin. Small tusks already visible. A son. Undeniably half-orc. Undeniably hers. The midwife's face shows nothing. Professional. But Kira can read the concern. The worry about how the territory will react. Callum enters, sees his orc son, and grins. He's perfect. He's green. Kira says it flat, already preparing for the backlash. The nobles who'll protest. The commoners who'll whisper. So are you, and you're the best person I know. Callum takes his son, holds him carefully, marvels at small tusks and green skin and eyes that are already showing intelligence. What will you name him, Edmund? Kira doesn't hesitate. After the man who saved me, who taught me that strength without purpose is violence, who gave a 4-year-old orc child a chance when no one else would. Edmund Forge. Callum looks down at his son. Welcome to the world, Edmund. You're going to have to be strong, but you've got your mother for a teacher, so you'll be fine. The territory's reaction is swift and predictable. The nobles convene an emergency council session 2 days after Edmund's birth. Kira attends, still recovering from childbirth, still exhausted. But she's a queen, and queens don't get to rest when their authority is challenged. Lord Matthias Crane stands, 50 years old, wealthy, connected, influential, everything Kira isn't. Your Majesty, the council has concerns about the succession. I'm aware, Kira's voice is ice. Your son, Prince Edmund, his heritage creates complications. His heritage is half human, half orc, same as his mother. But you were raised human, educated human. You think like one of us. Your son. My son is 2 days old. He doesn't think like anything yet except milk and sleep. Some council members laugh, nervous. Others glare at them. Lord Crane continues undeterred. The law states that rulers must have the confidence of the governed. An orc heir threatens that confidence. Then change the confidence, not the heir. Kira stands, slow, deliberate, every inch a queen despite exhaustion. My daughter Arya is human. The territory celebrated her birth, welcomed her, because she looks like you. She lets that sink in. My son Edmund is orc, and you're here 2 days after his birth demanding I address his legitimacy, because he looks like me. Your Majesty, no, you'll listen. Command, not request. Edmund Thorne, human governor, found me in a forest when I was 4 years old. I had just killed a tiger with a rock. I was covered in blood. I was green-skinned and tusked and everything humans are taught to fear. She walks down from her throne, faces Lord Crane directly. He took me home anyway, raised me as his daughter, gave me his name, his education, his throne. He taught me that strength without purpose is violence. That ruling means seeing people not skin color, not species. Her voice drops, dangerous, quiet. My children, human Arya, orc Edmund, they are living proof that different people can coexist, can love each other, can build something better than centuries of hatred. She looks around the council chamber, meets every eye. If you can't accept that you don't accept me, and I've been ruling you for 8 years, nothing changes now. Silence. Lord Crane opens his mouth, closes it, sits down. Counselor Alara Frost stands. 47 now. Gray hair, sharp eyes that have watched Kira grow from coronation to now. The council accepts Prince Edmund as legitimate heir. Second in line after Princess Arya. She looks directly at Lord Crane. All in favor. Hands rise. Slowly, reluctantly, but they rise. Opposed 3 hands, Lord Crane and his closest allies. The motion carries. Prince Edmund is recognized. Kira nods once. Sharp. Victorious. Her first major political victory won through rhetoric instead of force. Through standing up for her child instead of backing down. She walks out of the council chamber feeling something she hasn't felt in years. Pride. Not in her crown, not in her power. Pride in being a mother willing to fight for her children. Years 3 through 10 of the marriage pass slowly. Arya grows into a bright, confident child. Loves reading, loves asking questions, has her mother's determination and her father's kindness. Edmund grows quieter, thoughtful, loves the forge, loves watching his father work. At age 6, he's already learning to shape metal. Kira and Callum grow closer, still not romantic, still carrying ghosts. But genuine partnership develops, mutual respect, deep friendship that survived tragedy. Year 5 brings the first breakthrough. They're in the royal chambers, late at night, both exhausted from a long day of territorial governance. Callum is sitting by the fire, reading reports. Kira is at her desk, reviewing law proposals. Comfortable silence. Then Kira says, "Thank you." Callum looks up. For what? For being patient, for waiting, for not demanding something I couldn't give. She sets down her quill, faces him. I think I'm ready to try, to be your wife in more than just name. Callum closes his report, walks to her, kneels beside her chair. Are you sure? No, but I'm ready to find out. That night they make love as husband and wife, not out of duty, not from loneliness, from genuine desire, genuine connection. It's not perfect. Ghosts still linger, guilt still surfaces, but it's real, and that's enough. Year 8 brings another breakthrough. They're walking in the gardens, Arya and Edmund playing nearby, supervised by Morel. Callum says something funny. Kira laughs, real laugh, the kind that comes from deep inside. And then without thinking, without planning, I love you. Callum stops walking. What? I love you. I should have said it years ago. Should have said it when we got married. But I couldn't, and I'm sorry. But I'm saying it now. I love you. Callum starts crying, right there in the garden, tears running down his face. Not sad tears, relief, joy. 21 years of waiting, 8 years of marriage. Finally hearing the words he'd given up hoping for. I love you too. I've always loved you. They kiss, long, deep. 8 years of distance closing in a moment. Arya sees them, makes a disgusted face. Mild kissing, Edmund giggles. And for the first time since the duel, Kira feels something close to happiness. Not complete, not perfect. Garrison's ghost still walks their halls, still sits at their table, still reminds them what their love cost. But happiness nonetheless. Year 10 arrives cold and clear. The anniversary of the duel, the anniversary of Garrison's death. For 9 years, Callum has gone alone to the memorial, the small marker in the military cemetery. Garrison's name carved in stone. This year, Kira waits for him in the Great Hall. I want to come with you. Callum looks surprised. To the memorial? Yes, it's been 10 years. I think it's time we honored him together. They walk through New Maven, side by side, king consort and queen, husband and wife. The memorial is simple. Stone marker, Garrison's name, his rank, the dates of his birth and death. Beneath it carved words, he fought for what he loved. They stand in silence. Then Kira speaks. The children ask about him. Arya wants to know why her middle name is Valen. Edmund asks about the memorial plaque in the soldiers' barracks. What did you tell them? The truth, that a good man died so we could be together. That love sometimes costs more than we want to pay. That we honor his memory by living well. She touches the stone. And that their father is the bravest man I know because it takes courage to kill. But it takes more courage to live with what you've done and keep being good anyway. Callum takes her hand. He would have been happy, seeing what we've built, the children, the peace. He would have said we took too long to get here, but he would have been happy. They stand together. Two people who survived tragedy, who built something real from violence, who learned that love doesn't erase pain, it just makes the pain worth carrying. Behind them, the sun sets over New Haven territory, a territory at peace, a kingdom integrating. Two children who represent everything Garrison died for, and two people finally learning to forgive themselves. It's not a happy ending, but it's a real one, and sometimes that's enough. 15 years after the duel, Queen Kira Thornwood stands at her window watching the sunrise over New Haven territory. She's 43 now, still green, still tusked, still 6 feet of orc muscle that makes humans instinctively reach for weapons. But something's changed. The way people look at her, not with fear, not exactly, more like wary respect. The kind you give to storms. Dangerous, yes, but also necessary, also beautiful in their own terrible way. 15 years of fair rule, of keeping promises, of protecting people regardless of their skin color or species. It counts for something, not everything, but something. Her reflection in the window glass shows lines around her eyes, gray threading through black hair. The physical cost of carrying a crown for 19 years, of carrying guilt for 15. Behind her, Callum sleeps, 44 years old, gray in his beard now, hands still scarred from decades of forge work. Still beautiful to her in ways she couldn't explain if she tried. They've been married 15 years, truly married not just politically for the last 7. It's not perfect. Ghosts still walk their halls, still sit at their table, still whisper in the dark about what their love cost. But it's real, and she's learned that real is better than perfect. The bedroom door opens quietly. Arya steps in, 14 years old, brown skin like her father, intelligence like her mother, already taller than most women, already asking questions that make counselors nervous. Father wanted me to tell you breakfast is ready. Kira turns, smiles. Your father is still asleep. Arya grins, mischievous. I meant Edmund. He's been in the kitchen since dawn making those honey cakes you like. Edmund, 12 years old, green-skinned, small tusks, quiet where his sister is loud, thoughtful where she's impulsive, already a better blacksmith than most men twice his age. Tell him I'll be down shortly. Arya nods, pauses at the door. Mother, can I ask you something? Always. Why is my middle name Valen? The question lands like a blow. Expected, but still painful. Kira has been preparing for this question for 14 years. Knew it would come eventually. Doesn't make it easier. It's after someone important, someone brave. Hukoyim, a soldier, Captain Garrison Vale. He served me before you were born. Arya waits, sensing there's more. Children always sense there's more. He died. Yes. How? Kira looks at her own daughter, at brown skin and human features and eyes that demand truth. In the arena, fighting for something he believed in. Fighting who? Your father. The words taste like ash. 15 years later, and they still taste like ash. Arya's eyes go wide, not scared, curious, trying to piece together a story from fragments. Father killed him. Yes. Why though? Because I made them fight. Because I was too weak to make a choice. So I forced two good men to decide with steel. Silence, then. That's why you and Father took so long to be happy. Not a question, observation. Children see more than adults give them credit for. Yes, that's why. Arya nods, processing. Then she crosses the room, hugs her mother. Fierce, strong. I'm sorry you had to do that. I'm sorry too. They stand there, mother and daughter, green orc queen and brown human princess, connected by love and blood and the weight of difficult truths. When Arya leaves, Kira sits on the edge of the bed. Callum stirs, opens his eyes. How much did you hear? Enough. He sits up, takes her hand. She needed to know. Edmund will ask too. Soon. Then we'll tell him. Kira looks at their joined hands. Green fingers and brown fingers interlaced. The story is changing, Callum. 15 years and people are already forgetting the truth. They think you murdered Garrison for power. That I used you both. That none of it was about love or duty or impossible choices. Does it matter what they think? Yes, because Garrison deserves better than being remembered as a victim. He deserves to be remembered as he was. Brave, honorable, a man who chose his fate. Callum squeezes her hand. Then we make sure he's remembered right. The morning brings routine, breakfast with the children, council meetings, territorial business, the endless machinery of governance. But Kira's mind keeps returning to Arya's question, to the way the story is shifting, becoming myth instead of memory. At lunch, Morel brings news. 37 now, still handmaiden, still friend, still the person who knows Kira better than anyone except Callum. The new recruits are here for training. Captain Morven wants you to address them. How many at 20, young, eager, mostly human, but 3 orcs in the group. Good, integration is working. Morel sets down the tea tray, hesitates. What is it? One of them, barely 19, he was asking questions about the old days, about Captain Vale. Kira's hand freezes on her teacup. What kind of questions? About how he died, about the duel, about... Morel stops, uncomfortable. About whether Father murdered him for the throne. Edmund speaks from the doorway, 12 years old and already too perceptive. I heard soldiers talking in the forge yesterday. They said Captain Vale was assassinated by a blacksmith who wanted to be king. Kira sets down her cup carefully, like if she moves too fast, something will shatter. That's not what happened. I know, but that's what they're saying. Callum enters behind Edmund, face dark. It's not just the recruits. I heard it in the market yesterday. 2 merchants arguing about whether our marriage is legitimate, whether you were complicit in Garrison's murder. The word hangs in the air, heavy, toxic, murder. Not death in honorable combat, not sacrifice. Not the complicated, terrible truth, murder. 15 years, Kira says quietly. 15 years and already they're rewriting what happened. She stands, decision crystallizing. Morel, send word to Councillor Frost. I want an assembly, tomorrow, full attendance, every noble, every soldier, every citizen who can fit in the Great Hall. Your Majesty, what are you planning? The truth, I'm planning the truth. The Great Hall of New Haven fills beyond capacity. Nobles in their finest clothes, soldiers in dress uniforms, common folk pressed against walls and crowding doorways. Everyone sensing that something significant is about to happen. Queen Kyra Thornwood stands before her throne. not sitting, standing, like a defendant instead of a ruler. She wears simple clothes, no crown, no ceremonial armor, just leather and linen. The clothes of someone about to confess, not command. Beside the throne stand Callum and the children. Arya on one side, Edmund on the other. Family united. Whatever comes next, they face together. Counselor Alara Frost calls the assembly to order. 60 years old now, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, she's watched Kira rule for 15 years. Watched her grow from uncertain new queen to seasoned leader. Her Majesty Queen Kira Thornwood has called this assembly to address the territory. You will listen. The crowd goes quiet, expectant, nervous. Kira steps forward, alone. No notes, no prepared speech, just truth that's been building for 15 years. 15 years ago, I forced two men to fight to the death. Her voice carries. Strong, clear, not apologetic, but not defensive either. Just stating facts. Captain Garrison Vale, loyal soldier, 3 years of service, 74 victories in my name. And Callum Forge, blacksmith, my best friend since childhood, 21 years of friendship. She lets that settle. I told you it was about strength, about finding the worthiest consort, about doing what was best for the territory. Pause. Breath. That was a lie. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Nobles exchange glances. Soldiers shift uncomfortably. I loved both men, couldn't choose between them. So I made them choose with steel. I sacrificed Captain Vale's life because I was too coward to make a decision. The murmurs grow louder, shocked, scandalized. His blood is on my hands, not Callum's. My husband killed Garrison. Yes, but I forced him to. I created the conditions. I made the rules. I set two good men against each other because I was too weak to sentence one of them to heartbreak with words instead of violence. Kira's voice doesn't shake, doesn't waver. This is what queens do, face consequences. I'm telling you this because the story is changing. Young people now say the blacksmith murdered the captain for power. They say I was complicit. They say our marriage is built on assassination and conspiracy. She looks directly at the young soldier, 19 years old, standing near the back, the one who started asking questions. That's not true, and I won't let Captain Garrison Vale's memory be corrupted by lies. She walks down from the throne platform, into the crowd, among her people, not above them. Garrison chose to fight, knew the risks. He told me, her voice catches. First time it's wavered. He told me he was grateful for the chance to die for something real. Someone real. The crowd is silent now, absolutely silent, hanging on every word. But I wasn't grateful. I was terrified, and I let it happen anyway. I stood on that throne 15 years ago and watched two men I loved try to kill each other. And when Garrison died, I placed my tiger fang necklace on his chest and told myself I'd honored him. She touches her neck, where the necklace used to hang, where it hasn't hung since that day. But I hadn't honored him. I'd used him, used his loyalty, used his love, used his willingness to die for his queen. Tears now, running down green cheeks. She doesn't hide them. For 15 years, I've built this territory on Captain Vale's sacrifice. Orc-human integration, peace, prosperity. My children, human Arya, Orc Edmund, are living proof that different people can coexist. She gestures to her family, standing together on the platform. All of it stands on one man's grave, a man who deserved better than a coward queen. The silence is profound, heavy, like the air before a storm. I can't bring him back, can't undo what I did. All I can do is tell the truth. She faces the crowd directly, meeting eyes, not flinching. Garrison Vale was a hero. His choice was honorable. He volunteered knowing death was possible. Knowing one of them would die, he fought bravely. He died instantly, and he deserves to be remembered for what he was. Her voice strengthens, command returning. Not as a victim of murder, not as a pawn in political games. As a soldier who chose to fight for something he believed in. who gave his life willingly, who made a sacrifice that changed a territory. She looks at Callum, at her husband standing with their children. My husband lives with guilt every day, wakes up remembering the sound of impact, the sight of Garrison falling. He's carried that for 15 years, never complained, never blamed me even though he should have. Back to the crowd. If you want to hate someone for what happened, hate me. I made the choice. I forced the duel. I'm responsible. She straightens. Queen again? Ruler. Authority. But don't let Garrison's memory be corrupted. Don't let his sacrifice become a scandal. He deserves better. And if you respect me at all, if my 15 years of service mean anything, you'll help me make sure he's remembered truthfully. She stops. Done. Said everything that needed saying. The silence stretches. Then movement at the back of the hall. An older man stands, gray-haired, weathered, nervous laugh that everyone over 40 recognizes immediately. Lieutenant Thaddeus Pike, 53 years old, left New Haven the day after the duel, hasn't been seen in the territory for 15 years. Until now. He walks forward, slowly, every eye following him. He'd returned to New Haven 3 months ago, quietly, took a room in the outer districts, heard the stories in taverns, the way young soldiers talked about Garrison's death. Murder, they called it. Conspiracy. That's when he knew he had to speak. Stops a few feet from Kira, faces the crowd. I served under Captain Garrison Vale for 10 years, knew him better than anyone, was his friend, his lieutenant, the man who pulled him out of 3 battles where he should have died. His voice is rough, unused to public speaking. I left New Haven the day he died. Couldn't stay. Couldn't watch the blacksmith marry the queen. Couldn't pretend it didn't tear me apart. He looks at Kira, not with hatred. Something else? Understanding, maybe. But I came back because I heard the stories. Heard people saying Garrison was murdered, that he was used, that his death meant nothing. Pike's hands clench, unclench. That's not true, and I won't let people remember him wrong. He turns back to the crowd. Garrison volunteered, knew exactly what the duel meant. I tried to talk him out of it, told him he might die. You know what he said? Pike's voice cracks, emotion breaking through. He said, Pike, I've been a soldier 15 years, seen men die for land they never saw, kings they never met. If I die tomorrow, at least it's for something real. I'm grateful for the chance. The words echo through the silent hall. He was grateful, not scared, not manipulated. Grateful. Pike wipes his eyes, doesn't hide the tears. Queen Kira just confessed to cowardice, to forcing the duel, to being responsible for his death. He looks at her. She's right. She made a terrible choice. Garrison died because of it. Pause. But he died choosing. He died fighting. He died believing he was doing something honorable, something worth his life. Pike's voice strengthens. That's not murder. That's sacrifice. And if you respect Garrison's memory at all, you'll remember it that way. He looks directly at the young soldier who asked the questions. Captain Vale would have wanted this. The peace, the integration, the children who prove different species can love each other. He died for it willingly. Queen Kara didn't give him that gift lightly. She's carried it every day since. He straightens, old soldier's posture. That's not corruption. That's the cost of leadership. The cost of building something better than endless hatred. Pike nods once to Kira, then returns to his place in the crowd. For a moment, nothing. Then one person claps, slow, deliberate, then another, and another. Not applause for Kira, for Garrison, for truth, for memory properly honored. The entire hall rises, standing ovation for a man who died 15 years ago, for a sacrifice finally acknowledged, for a story told truthfully instead of twisted by time. Kira stands alone on the floor, tears streaming, not from relief, from release, from finally speaking truth that's been trapped inside for 15 years. Callum comes down from the platform, puts his arms around her, holds her while she cries in front of 300 people. Queens aren't supposed to cry publicly, aren't supposed to show weakness. But sometimes weakness is the strongest thing you can show. The assembly disperses slowly, people filing out quietly, soberly, like they've witnessed something sacred instead of scandalous. Kira sits on the throne room steps, exhausted, emotionally drained, empty in the way that comes after confession. Pike approaches, hesitant. Your Majesty, she looks up, red eyes, tear-stained cheeks. Nothing royal about her appearance right now. Lieutenant Pike, just Pike now. Resigned, remember. I remember. Silence. 15 years of it. Then Pike sits beside her, informal, inappropriate, perfect. That took courage, what you did today. It took 15 years. That's not courage. That's procrastination. Pike laughs, that nervous laugh. Maybe, but you did it. Told the truth when lying would have been easier. That counts. He looks at her, really looks. Garrison would have been proud of the territory, of your children, of you finally being happy. You think he would have forgiven me? I think he never blamed you. That was always your burden, not his. Pike stands, offers his hand, helps her up. I'm staying in New Haven. Think the territory needs a new weapons master. Someone to train the recruits properly. Teach them about honor, about sacrifice, about serving something bigger than yourself. Kira takes his hand, stands. The territory would be lucky to have you. The territory is lucky to have you. Even if it took you 15 years to admit you're not perfect. He smiles, sad but genuine. Welcome to being human, Your Majesty. We're all just doing our best and hoping it's enough. 10 years pass like water through fingers, slow but inevitable. Arya grows into a woman, 24 years old, smart, strong, beautiful in ways that transcend simple appearance. She's been courted by a dozen noble sons, turned them all down, until Rowan Ashenclaw, 26, orc warrior from the Northern Territories, scarred from battles, gentle in ways that contradict his appearance. He makes Arya laugh, makes her think, makes her happy. The wedding is set for autumn. Edmund is 22, master blacksmith, quiet, thoughtful, creates weapons that are functional art, has his father's skill and his mother's strategic mind. He's been asked to forge Arya's wedding crown. The greatest honor a blacksmith can receive. Kira is 53, Callum is 54, 25 years married, 19 years truly together. The ghosts still walk their halls, still whisper, but quieter now, more like memory than haunting. The wedding day arrives cold and clear, autumn sun painting everything gold, trees showing red and orange, perfect weather for new beginnings. Kira stands in the great hall watching preparations. Arya is somewhere getting dressed. Edmund is putting final touches on the crown. Callum is managing logistics with Morel. Everything is controlled chaos, beautiful chaos. Pike finds her standing alone. Your Majesty, thought you might want company. Always. They stand together, watching servants arrange flowers, musicians tune instruments, the machinery of celebration. She's marrying an orc, Pike observes. Your human daughter choosing an orc warrior. Garrison would have loved the irony. He would have approved of Rowan, good man, honorable, brave. Like someone else we knew. Kira doesn't respond, doesn't need to. You did it, Pike continues. Built what Garrison died for. Territory at peace, species integrated. Your children proving love doesn't see skin color. We did it. All of us. Garrison's sacrifice, Callum's patience. Your eventual forgiveness? My eventual return, you mean? That too. The ceremony is beautiful. Arya in white silk, Rowan in traditional orc warrior garb. Two cultures blended seamlessly. Edmund presents the crown, delicate metalwork, flowers wrought in silver, thorns in iron, beauty and strength combined. For my sister, he says quietly, may you be as strong as our mother and as kind as our father. Arya cries, happy tears, takes the crown with shaking hands. The priest performs the ceremony. Human and orc traditions woven together. Proof that different worlds can merge, can create something new and beautiful. When Arya and Rowan kiss as husband and wife, the hall erupts in cheers. Kira watches her daughter dance with her new husband. Watches species lines blur on the dance floor. Human and orc, noble and common, all celebrating together. Callum finds her watching, takes her hand. We did good. We did terrible things. Then we did good things. The order matters. Does it? Kira looks at him. Her husband, partner, best friend who became something more through tragedy and time. I don't know, but we're here. They're here, and that has to count for something. They dance badly. Kira was never graceful. Callum was never coordinated. But they dance anyway, moving together like they've been doing for 25 years. Learning each other, forgiving each other, building something real from broken pieces. The reception continues into evening. Laughter, music, joy that feels earned instead of given. As the sun sets, Kira slips away, walks through familiar corridors to the fortress gardens, to the courtyard where the arena used to stand. Grass has grown over the white stones, trees planted where blood was spilled. But she still feels it, still sees it when she closes her eyes. Garrison falling, Callum's hammer, the sound that still haunts both their dreams. I thought I'd find you here. Pike's voice, quiet, understanding. Can't have a celebration without remembering what it took. No, we can't. They stand together, looking at grass and trees and the ghost of violence. Do you think he'd be happy? Kira asks. Seeing all this, the wedding, the peace, everything his death bought. I think he'd say you took too damn long to get here. Kira laughs, surprised, genuine. You're probably right. But yes, he'd be happy, he'd be proud of the territory, of your children, of you. Pike touches the memorial stone. Small marker placed here 10 years ago. Garrison's name, his rank, his dates. He gave you a gift, Your Majesty, his life, his choice, his sacrifice. You've spent 25 years trying to be worthy of it. Have I succeeded? Look around, territory at peace, species integrated. Your daughter just married an orc warrior and nobody rioted. Your son is a master blacksmith, respected by humans and orcs alike. Pike looks at her. Yes, you succeeded. Kira touches the stone, cold under her fingers. I still miss him, after 25 years. I still wonder what would have happened if I'd chosen differently, if I'd been braver. You'd have different regrets, that's all. Different ghosts. Wisdom from the weapons master. Wisdom from someone who's spent 15 years running from ghosts instead of facing them. Pike smiles. You faced yours, eventually. That's more than most people manage. They stand in silence. Two people who knew Garrison, who loved him in different ways, who carry his memory forward. Behind them, the fortress glows with celebration. Music drifts through open windows. Laughter echoes off stone walls. Life, joy, the future Garrison died to protect. Kira and Pike walk back together, leaving the memorial behind, returning to the living. Because that's what survivors do. They remember, they honor, they carry ghosts, but they also live. That night after the wedding, after the guests disperse, after the children go to their rooms, Kira and Callum lie in bed, not sleeping, just existing together. 25 years of marriage, 25 years of carrying weight. Do you still dream about it? Kira asked quietly. The duel, yes, less often now, but yes. Me too. Silence, comfortable. The kind that comes from knowing someone completely. Do you regret it marrying me, living with this? Callum turns to face her. Even in darkness, she can feel his gaze. I regret killing him. I'll regret that until I die. But I don't regret loving you. Don't regret our children. Don't regret building this life. He takes her hand. Both things are true. Both things will always be true. That's what living with consequences means. Kira squeezes his hand, green fingers and brown fingers interlaced. Arya asked me once why love has to cost so much. What did you tell her? That love doesn't cost anything, but the choices we make to get it do, and we have to decide if the cost is worth paying. Was it worth it? Kira thinks about Garrison, about sacrifice, about 25 years of guilt and love, and building something beautiful from tragedy. Ask me when I'm dying, maybe then I'll know. They fall asleep holding hands. Two people who survived the unsurvivable, who built a marriage from murder, who learned that redemption isn't about erasing the past, it's about living with it, honoring it, making it mean something. Morning comes with autumn sun. Kira wakes before Callum, dresses quietly, walks to her window. New Haven territory spreads below her. Towns and farms, orc settlements and human villages. Mixed communities where species distinctions matter less than character. 25 years of work. 25 years of proving Edmund Thorne right. Strength without purpose is just violence. Her purpose became making Garrison's sacrifice mean something. Building peace from bloodshed, creating a future worth the terrible cost of getting here. She touches her neck, where the tiger fang necklace used to hang, where it hasn't hung for 25 years. The necklace sits on Garrison's memorial now. Strength offered to a warrior. Purpose given to sacrifice. She doesn't need it anymore, because she learned what Edmund tried to teach her at 4 years old, what Garrison demonstrated at 32, what Callum has shown her every day for 25 years. True strength isn't about winning fights or forcing choices or making people bend to your will. True strength is living with consequences, facing truth, admitting cowardice, building something good enough that the people who died for it didn't die for nothing. Kira Thornwood, age 53, green-skinned orc queen of a human territory, stands at her window and watches the sun rise. Thinks about a 4-year-old child with a rock and a tiger. Thinks about a dying governor who saw potential instead of monster. Thinks about 2 men who loved her enough to fight. Thinks about the one who died so the other could live. And she makes a promise, same promise she's made every morning for 25 years. Today I will be worthy of his sacrifice. Today I will lead with honor instead of fear. Today I will remember that strength without purpose is just violence. And my purpose is making sure Garrison Vale didn't die for a coward. He died for a queen, imperfect, flawed, haunted by choices that cost too much, but a queen nonetheless. One who finally learned that you don't earn redemption by being perfect. You earn it by being honest, by facing consequences, by living well enough that the dead can rest. Behind her, Callum wakes, sees her at the window, joins her. They stand together, watching their territory wake, watching the future they built from tragedy. What are you thinking, he asks, that we survived? We did more than survive. Did we? Callum puts his arm around her, pulls her close. We built a kingdom, raised children, proved that different people can love each other, made Garrison's death mean something instead of just being tragedy. He kisses her temple, gentle, familiar. Yes, we did more than survive. Kira leans into him, lets herself be held. After 25 years, she's finally learned how. I love you. I love you too. 3 words, simple, true, worth 25 years of waiting, worth a good man's life, worth every ghost and every regret and every sleepless night remembering what their love cost. Not because love erases pain, but because love makes pain worthwhile. And sometimes when you've lost enough, when you've carried enough weight, when you've finally learned that perfect endings don't exist, sometimes worthwhile is enough, sometimes it's everything. Below them in the training yard, Pike is already at work, weapons master of New Haven, teaching young recruits about honor, about sacrifice, about serving something bigger than yourself. In the forge, Edmund hammers metal into shape, 22 years old, already taking commissions from neighboring territories, building a reputation that will outlast his parents' reign. Arya and Rowan have left for the northern territories, building bridges between orc clans and human settlements, continuing the work their mother started. The kingdom doesn't need Kira and Callum to be perfect. It just needs them to have built something strong enough to outlast them. And they did. The sun rises over New Haven territory. A new day. Same ghosts, same history. Same impossible choices that led to this moment. But also hope, also love, also proof that broken things can still work, can still matter, can still build something beautiful. Queen Kira Thornwood and King Consort, Callum Forge, stand together watching their kingdom wake. 2 people who survived tragedy, who built a life from death, who learned that strength isn't avoiding hard choices. It's living with them and making them mean something. That's the real victory, not the crown, not the power, not the kingdom. The victory is standing here 25 years later, still choosing each other, still honoring the dead, still believing that the cost, however terrible, was worth paying. Because the alternative was a lifetime of wondering. And they've had enough regrets. This at least isn't one of them. The sun climbs higher, the kingdom wakes, life continues. And that in its own strange way is enough.